Shalom Yashrala, Shalom. Kala Layam, Alahayanawa, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rakaha Kwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who teach one of Ruwa, who taught me this truth. Peace, salutation to the Akim, the fellow laborers, the hopeful elect, pushing this truth at risk of the one eyes here at the four corners of the earth. To the Ak with listen and learn. Shalom. It's your brother Shema from the Pillars of Benjamin camp here in Toronto with another lesson. And we'll get right into it. This article right here, August 3rd, 2022, the year of Yahweh B'Shem Yashai turning up. This article came out yesterday on the Natural News. Transportation disaster. Core Fund Capital closure leaves trucking companies unable to pay their drivers or buy fuel. Right? And this is the state of things. Things like this are just going to continue, man. You know what I mean? I wanted to open it with a scripture first before we read the article. Ecclesiasticus, also known as Sirach, in the Apocrypha, chapter 10, verse 9, and it reads, because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit. Right? And who's been unrighteous with their dealings and gotten riches by deceit? Esau, Edom, the ruling class elites, the banking families, the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, the DuPonts, the Gettys. Right? The so-called white man. The kingdom is translated from one people to another, right? And ultimately, Yahweh B'Shem Yashai is going to come and melt this place. And all things will be done according to righteousness. The kingdom of heaven will be on earth as it is in heaven. Right? Let's read this article. Core Fund Capital closures leaves trucking companies unable to pay their drivers or buy fuel. Small business truckers who rely on Core Fund Capital for factoring their accounts receivable are now struggling to stay in business following the abrupt closure of the company. Right? Factoring companies purchase outstanding invoices. Right? So this is what Core Fund Capital does. Right? They purchase outstanding invoices from companies with slower paying customers to provide them with immediate cash flow. Core Fund offers same-day factoring to trucking companies throughout the nation to help clients who need access to funds to make their payroll, purchase fuel or inventory, or fulfill orders. Hundreds of small business truckers depend on their services to stay afloat. Right? So these companies, Core Fund, they purchase slow payers. They up some capital to the companies that they purchase them from, and then these companies, this trucking company in particular, trucking companies, they stay afloat. Core Fund Capital, which is based in Texas, suddenly closed its doors late last month and fired all of its staff amid a legal dispute between two brothers involved in the company's ownership. This has left their clients scrambling to cover costs. Rival factoring companies have reported receiving countless calls from Core Fund's trucking clients, many of whom are concerned they will have to stop doing business because they cannot pay their drivers or buy fuel. Complicating matters is a lack of communication from Core Fund executives and a failure to follow procedures that would enable other brokerages and factoring companies to help the affected truckers. John J. Giroux, Truck Brokers Director of Operations, Tony Ginevra, explained to Freight Waves that he cannot pay carriers who factor receivables through Core Fund. I had a carrier try to get us to pay him directly. He's called me a dozen times today, but there's nothing we can do until we have a notice of assignment from Core Fund that this trucking company has gone to them for funding, and Core Fund sends us an invoice which we will pay same day, he said. I feel for these guys because many are living load to load right now, but we legally can't pay the carriers directly because we have to pay Core Fund first. Until Core Fund releases uniform commercial code liens that were filed by the factoring company against the assets of carriers, truckers will be unable to get relief. In addition, a revocation is required of the notice of assignment that was sent to these truckers. Clients telling them to make their payments to Core Fund who then pays the truckers. Court makes a move that could help truckers access funds. Last week, a district judge in Parker County, Texas, Graham Quisenberry, appointed a receiver acting on behalf of Corfund in the hopes of helping truckers to access their funds faster. This is viewed as a positive step, as a receiver could act on behalf of Corfund to make the necessary payout arrangements, but it will still take some time for funds to be paid. Right. So you see, this is all unrighteous, man. You know what I mean? Right. Now, in the law, Deuteronomy 24, verse 14. And granted, Esau Edom is not under the law. Esau Edom is the wicked, right? But this is more proof that the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. This is more proof that the earth is not being governed in righteousness, right? And this is what the law says, right? And the law pertaining to Israelites, Israel being a people before a place. You so-called indigenous, you so-called Latino, you so-called Negro. But the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. We are under Esau's rules. Deuteronomy 24, verse 14. Thou shalt not oppress a hired servant that is poor and needy, Israelite, whether he be of thy brethren or of thy strangers that are in thy land within thy gates. At his day thou shalt give him his hire, neither shall the sun go down upon it, for he is poor, and setteth his heart upon it, lest he cry against thee unto Yahweh, and it be sin unto thee. Right? So you're supposed to get your hire day to day, right? According to the law, right? Esau's kingdom is upside down, man. Everything's. Let's read some of these comments, man. So these truckers, they can't float, and Corfund, who used to buy their invoices and then give them same day money, get float. They've closed their doors. But what stuck out to me was some of these comments. There's a comment here. This one here says, just another tool in the bag of destroying America. Get the independent and small trucking firms out of the way. Truckers go down. We all go down. There's one here that, yeah, this one here. I worked in the trucking industry for a while. We had some business with Penske Truck Rentals, a small hat company. Penske never paid their bills until after a 3-month delay. I assume that this small hat company was getting daily interest on the money they owed, right? You see, unrighteous. We open with a scripture. Because of unrighteous dealings, let's read it again, right? So, so-called small hats who so-called know the law, look at the practices they were practicing, man. Not paying their bills till 90 days plus, right? And that money is in their bank accruing interest. Ecclesiasticus 10, verse 8, once again, because of unrighteous dealings, holding a hire for 90 plus days is unrighteous. Injuries and riches got by deceit, right? Blood money. Right? The kingdom is translated from one people to another, right? So the Most High is going to have to reestablish, the Most High is going to send his son to reestablish the kingdom of Israel on earth as it is in heaven. Then the earth will be ruled in righteousness. Leviticus 19, verse 13. Thou shalt not defraud thy neighbor, right, Israelites. Neither rob him. And you see in the kingdom, the whole world going to follow these laws. Scriptures say the law shall go forth out of Jacob. Right? The heathen nation are going to have to abide by these laws in the kingdom. Leviticus 19, verse 13. Thou shalt not defraud thy neighbor, neither rob him. The wages of him that is hired shall not abide with thee all night until the morning. Right? You're supposed to pay right that the service is rendered. You pay right away. Right? But that's not how Esau does things. Right? And now we see a conundrum happening, a collapse, right? But it's all through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Shai. Psalms 50, verse 16. But unto the wicked, the Most High saith, right, you Edomites, what hast thou to do to declare my statutes, or that thou shouldest take my covenant in thy mouth, right? Esau quick for say, in God we trust, and it's on their dollar bill, and they read from the Bible, but they're corrupt. They're contrary, right? Verse 17. Here's the point: seeing thou hatest instruction, right? And this goes back to the time of Cain, right? Cain and Abel, right? Abel brought forth righteous sacrifice. Abel. Cain brought forth a unrighteous sacrifice, right? They hate instruction, right? Fast forward, Cain came back as Esau, right? Abel came back as Seth, and then Seth came back as Jacob, right? Seeing thou hatest instruction and castest my words behind thee, right? All the law, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Shemel Shai. Esau, he's not with it, man. Right? He's not with it. They don't keep the law, statutes, and commandments, right? They do what's contrary. Proverbs 22, verse 7. The rich ruleth over the poor, and the borrower is servant to the lender, right? And as it is this day, right? Israelites got to go to Esau, Edom for everything, man. Jake got to go to Esau, Edom for loans, car notes, title deeds, right? And they all accrue interest. And then you miss a payment. Guess what? They snatch up whatever it is they have, whatever it is you're making payments on, man. Jeremiah 22, verse 13. Woe unto him that buildeth his house by unrighteousness, and his chambers by wrong, that useth his neighbor's service without wages, and giveth him not for his work, right? And who's done this? Esau, Edom, man. Time and time and time again. Right? Holding wages for 90 days, 3-month delays, 3+ months delays, that's off. This remark. 12 months from now, we'll look back at this as the good old days when the country still mostly functioned. And listen, it's going to continue to circle the drain, and there's no coming back. Right? The end game is Yahweh Shai and the holy angels and the missiles. Malachi 3, verse 4. Then shall the offering of Judah and Jerusalem be pleasant unto the Lord Yahweh, as in the days of old, and as in the former Salakia, and as in former years. And I will come near to you to judgment, and I will be a swift witness against the sorcerers, and against the adulterers, and against false swearers, and against those that oppress the hireling in his wages, the widow and the fatherless, and that turn aside the stranger from his right, and fear not me, saith Yahweh of hosts. Right? So in the kingdom, unrighteous dealings will not be taking place. Right? In the kingdom, everything will be in righteousness and in order. Matter of fact, let's close out. Isaiah. Isaiah chapter 2, points in 3. Isaiah 2, verse 1. The word that Isaiah the son of Amos saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem, right? All 12 tribes. And it shall come to pass in the last days that the mountain, this is a kingdom prophecy, of the Lord's house, Yahweh, shall be established in the top of the mountains, right? So Israel, The Israel being a people, the law, statute, and commandments of the Israelites will be established. The government will be established under Yahushai, under King David, trickling down to the 144. The governing bodies, right? The government will be of Israel, right? Under Yahushai, right? Shall be established in the top of the mountains. It's going to be above all. It's going to be above everything, top, and shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow into it. And many people shall go and say, Come ye, and let us go up to the mountain, the governments, of Yahweh, to the house of the power of Jacob. Here's the point. And he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall go forth the law and the word of Yahweh from Jerusalem. Right. So the law, statute, commandments are going to go forth throughout the whole earth in the kingdom, man. On earth as it is in heaven. Right. You won't be having instances where companies are folding because they can't make payroll or buy fuel because of slow payers, 90-day plus payers, or factoring companies closing their doors. Right? This place is through, man. I pray you're edified. I don't want to Kwame Asherala. Wa Abad. Babal. Shalom.